I cheated on a wonderful man and guilt is eating me alive. How do I tell my husband about my two-night stand? When I was abroad on a business trip in November, I, 31 female, had a two-night stand. I met my hubby, 30 years old, 5 years ago, and we've been married for 3 years. My spouse is Indian, and I'm white. We met at university while we were both students. He had been extremely busy with a project he had been working on for the previous few months last year. As a result, I wasn't receiving the attention I was accustomed to from him, and the sex was uncommon. I was on a business trip for a week in November, and one of my colleagues from a branch in another city was continually hitting on me. So on the final 2 nights of the vacation, I succumbed. To be clear, I am not attracted to this man in the least. It was only that he caught me at a vulnerable point. On the way back, I understood what I had done and chose not to tell anybody. I reasoned that there was no harm, no foul. I was fine with it. But in December, I had a little mishap. I went down the stairs that resulted in a slight fracture in my arm. After that, he took excellent care of me. Despite the fact that I healed rapidly, I was not permitted to undertake any home tasks until the end of January. He was in charge of all home tasks. During that time, the guilt began to sneak in with ideas like, if he understood what I had done then, he wouldn't be here. Nonetheless, I resolved to deal with my guilt. Then, towards the end of January, he was promoted for his contributions to the project. We held a modest celebration with some of our friends at a restaurant. Our pals were curious as to how we met. He was giving me a whole narrative about how I asked him to buy him a drink on a dare, how he doesn't drink and was just hanging out with his pals at the pub. So, when he told the narrative, I observed the sparkle in his eyes, the way he looked at me, and the pride he feels in me. I felt like I was about to burst from the weight of my guilt. He's now talking about having children and forming a family. As much as I'd want to, I've opted not to tell him anything that occurred before to having children. I am terrified that he will abandon me. The likelihood of a divorce is high. He is a guy of great morals and principles. I'll inform him after this Valentine's Day weekend. He once informed me that he wanted to try new things. So, this Valentine's Day weekend, I'm going to fulfill his wish. I'm going all-out Christian Grey on him. I planned every disgusting thing I'm going to say to him. The next 3 days will be all about him. I hope that once I tell him the truth, he remembers this and believes me when I tell him how much I love him and that he is the most important person in the world to me. Hope he gives me another opportunity so that I can show him how much he means to me every day for the rest of our lives. I simply don't know what to say to him to boost his chances of remaining. Please assist me. Update. I'm still unable to inform him. This is an update to my previous article. I'm sorry, but I couldn't find the time to write an update. He's now dozing off in our bed. Our Valentine's Day weekend was fantastic. As I said in my last essay, I intended to surprise him with a fresh experience. He appreciated the surprise and had a good time with it. The only thing is that I expected the sex to be hard, but it inadvertently changed into sensuous sex. I went from saying, "You've been a very nasty kid," to saying, "I love you so much." I was on top of the world at the time, and he was staring at me lovingly. And when our eyes connected, it was as if we exchanged 1,000 words without saying a single word. He was shackled to our bed, and I had my hands all over him. I think I love him more right now than I did on our wedding day. When I finally chose to tell him, my fear of losing him outweighed the urge to be truthful. It's as though my brain and mind are at odds with one another. Since last month, I've been visiting a therapist. I haven't informed him I'm seeing a therapist because I don't want him to know about my mental difficulties. He believes I'm upset or depressed about something right now, and he's doing all he can to make me laugh. He played a joke on me last month, and he made me laugh only a few days ago by tickling me till my stomach ached. My therapist advised that we invite him to a session so that I can be honest with him in front of a professional, but I'm still not convinced. I examined why I had been disloyal to him. It was as though I was mentally unconscious at the moment. Because he was so busy, he couldn't give me the attention I believed I deserved. I had heard of couples losing their desire for one another and assumed that this was the beginning of my period. As a result, I acted out by cheating on him. It didn't matter that I didn't find him handsome. What mattered was that he was giving me the attention I desired. Some people told me that telling him the truth would only harm him. But he is unique in that regard. He is not easily injured, and he is always honest, no matter how severe. He is a self-assured individual who is aware of his behaviors and feelings. When we first began dating, he was open about the fact that he is not only a virgin, but has never kissed a female. His first and only girlfriend is me. This was novel to me. As a result, honesty is the bedrock of our partnership. I don't want to be honest only to relieve my guilt. I want to keep the core of our relationship intact. Even if he is able to handle his pain, he will undoubtedly be dissatisfied and ultimately divorce me. I don't want him to leave me, but I also want to keep the basis of our relationship intact. This is what I'm concerned about. I don't want to lose the finest thing that has ever happened to me because of a bad mistake I made. Right now, I'm divided between these two options. The only thing I know for certain is that I adore him. Story 2. Nearly a year later. Funny story. A week ago, my Facebook, a dummy one, reminded me of her adultery since I preserved all of the screenshots and photographs in secret for our divorce proceedings in case she cleaned out all of her data. She has more technical understanding than I have, so I was terrified that it would happen and I would lose all of my proof. My ex-wife cheated on me with her famous employer and his wife. For those of you who weren't there, she lied to him, telling them that we, too, were in an open marriage. Well, I can honestly say that 2021 was the worst year of my life. Her infidelity has harmed my mental health. I suffer from terrible anxiety and have been diagnosed with depression. At one time, I considered suicide. This is when I quit using social media and was MIA for a bit, but that's another tale. Let's just say I went utterly insane. We divorced, and I'm now a free woman in her late 30s who is still looking for myself. The good news is that I was able to maintain our home because my ex-wife and her family insisted on it for the sake of our son's comfort. I couldn't resist the offer since it's such a wonderful place, and I can't afford to provide my kid the same lifestyle that she has provided for him his whole life. To be honest, I was able to retain almost everything. Despite their drive for our reunion, her parents have been quite supportive. My family members also flew in to support me, which was quite helpful. Her family and mine got along great, and it breaks my heart to know that I'll never have another friendship like that again. Since then, I haven't talked to my ex. I don't speak to her unless it's about our kid or one of her family's events. There's a lot of hatred and resentment in my heart and head for her, and I'm really trying to be nice to her when we're around other people. Our co-parenting, on the other hand, is excellent. We have a pattern that we stick to, and I can confidently say that I am proud of her for never skipping a beat with our boy. She has been and will continue to be a terrific mother. He is mine, yet she was the one who carried him. I can say that she has made every effort to clean up her mess, but it is a permanent mark on my life that she will never be able to remove no matter how hard she tries. She is desperate for us to return to work. I suppose she misses how carefree and cheerful I used to be with her, but now I'm more guarded and frigid, not only to her, but to everyone else as well. I mourn how I was before all of this, yet in the midst of it all, I discovered true pleasure on content, and so is my kid, which is the most important thing. He fully knows what occurred, and I believe he despises her for it. Yet, his connection with her is improving. I write to express my rage and pain. I go swimming and work out on a regular basis. Whenever I can, I enroll in pottery and music lessons. I attend conferences and meetups for my interests. These are aspects of myself that I never paid attention to because we met when we were young. To summarize, I'm the happy I have ever been. I still have feelings for her, and I know a part of me will always be there. Right now, it's simply clouded with rage and sadness. My heart may be able to forgive her in a few years, but the intellect cannot forget. Even so, she'll have to live with the guilt of shattering the beautiful thing we had for the rest of her life, and I pray she doesn't find it in someone else. I couldn't even find the will to live a few months ago. Many of you who have been through similar experiences have been there for me every step of the way. I'm not totally healed, and I doubt I'll ever be, but there are certain aspects of my life that I look forward to every day. Things I do for myself that I would never have done if it hadn't been for the divorce, and I really hope you discover those things as well.